Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, and welcome to our special session hosted by the Mushroom Council, Mushrooms and Immunity, cute as a button, but much, much more. And I'm excited to welcome Steve Solomon, who is the menu strategist for the Mushroom Council, to walk us through how mushrooms can feed into immunity. And welcome, Steve.
Well, thank you very much. And let me be sure that I'm set up, but good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for being with us. So it's my way of giving you an update on mushrooms, especially during the, as they performed during the pandemic. I thought I would ditch the farm to table reference and go directly to the pit to plow. You'll understand this in a second. So here we go, 10 things about mushrooms in 5 minutes-ish. First, you all know that retail products did really, really well during the year, you know, sometimes at the expense of, food service, but mushrooms did even better. Starting in mid-April, mushrooms had 44 straight weeks of double-digit volume, sales, and unit growth. We basically doubled the growth of the produce category in general. So research showed, you know, we did some research around that and showed that why was that? You know, why did that happen? Number one, consumers said because it fit with comfort food and it made comfort food more craveable. Immunity was second, made me feel good. So that holistic kind of approach was in there, nutrition for my family. And then the blend, which helped me extend mushrooms or my meat dishes. So when consumers had to spend their limited meal dollars, they selected mushrooms. So that says a lot for consumer demand. Mushrooms have been featured in trend articles for the last 3 years. Clearly didn't stop in 2021. So while Whole Foods and Kroger and other places, publications called mushrooms the it vegetables, we love that Takeout and MSN said that mushrooms were the Brad Pitt of vegetables, equating them to leading actor status. So that's perfect as we talk about plant forward and plant-based. Just this last week, the Wall Street Journal wrote a great article about mushrooms as the future of food, and we hope you all had a chance to see that. So it's Earth Month. It was Earth Day, and now we've made it an entire month. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say that mushrooms can be considered one of the most sustainably produced foods in the United States. Right now, sustainability may be taking a back seat in your businesses as you move towards, you know, trying to work through takeout and just trying to stay open. But when you can make a strong sustainability statement, that's a big, big So what I said when we talked about why consumers were buying more mushrooms, immunity was one of those reasons that mushrooms are increasing in demand. You can see why, if you can see the screen, why mushrooms were thought of together with immunity. Mushrooms have naturally occurring vitamin D. Research showed that vitamin D can help mitigate the symptoms of COVID. Turns out that 5 medium mushrooms, when exposed to UV light, can add 100% of the daily value of the daily requirement of vitamin D. So keep watching now how vitamin D mushrooms are reemerging, how Walmart and Kroger will be merchandising these vitamin D mushrooms in the future. So you knew I was going to talk about the blend. But until we fully rethink the way we give our meat-centric customers what they want, but we do it in a way that's more mindful, whether that's the blend or another strategy, I think that this should be a continuing part of our conversations. So if you're waiting for the right format or the right protein to be blended, then tell us or tell your meat supplier. Right now, we're working with 5 different suppliers who are mostly responding to customers like you. So if you tell them what you want, you can likely get it, and we're happy to help. Further, when we talk about the blend, maybe it's time we talk about immunity strategy as well, since a blended burger can provide so many nutrients of interest and antioxidants and anti-inflammatories. So it's not just what we take out in terms of calories and fat, but what goes in as well. So most of you know about the blend from food service, but the blend is carving out an aggressive posture in retail with some great tasting products led by some branded products as well as private brands from Albertsons, Safeway, and Kroger. So all of this is driving more consumer awareness. when we talk about the blend, we usually talk about meat, but there's, you know, we've gone beyond meat. Several chains have asked, and I guess that was a pun there, but several chains have asked us to blend mushrooms with plant-based brands to help them improve their nutritional profile. Many are starting to blend mushrooms with tofu for that meaty and meaty flavor and texture. So look for more tofu mushroom blends in the future. The real evolution, though, is coming in making meat from mycelium. And there was a great presentation the other day from Good Food Institute on some of this. Mycelium is the vegetative root structure of the mushrooms. There's a lot to unpack here, but I'll just say that Europe is way ahead of us. There are companies that are rolling out seafood, bacon, chicken, steak, other whole meat, plant-based whole meat, whole muscle type meats made from mycelium. And there's a brand called Ozo, which is rolling out in Kroger stores right now, which is using mycelia fermentation as its base. So big, big future ahead. What else is new? Well, I can tell you that one of the largest alternative milk marketers is launching a mushroom oat milk, and they're working on a lot of other products using mushrooms for immunity in their products. And if you haven't seen Michelle Obama's new show on Netflix, you should. Not because one of the episodes is on mushrooms, which it is, but it really is great for kids, and you'll learn a ton just by watching that. It's about 25 minutes. Each episode's about 25 minutes, and they're all great. Last thing I wanted to tell you that's new, this year we're moving, you know, many of you have been a part of Blended Burger Project. This year though, we're moving it to Food Network as it's really more consumer oriented, number one, and it's going to be purely a recipe contest. It's our way of providing you the chance for publicity to win $10,000, which is nothing to sneeze at, and an opportunity to leverage your participation to your guests by saying that you're a part of the Food Network recipe smackdown. So with that, from Brad Pitt to Michelle Obama to Cliff Pleau, I would say that's a powerful lineup and a natural progression. Most of you know Cliff, Chef Cliff, and his culinary accomplishments. The only thing that I would say is that he is so passionate about foods and flavors, but also the power of food and how food with benefits can taste great and improve our lives. That's the whole philosophy behind Seasons 52. That's what he's focused on moving forward, and that's why he is a great, well, maybe even not great, but a perfect choice to talk about food, mushrooms, and immunity. With that, here's Chef Cliff.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, everybody, for joining me live from the Flavor Kitchen in Orlando to cook with you. I know you had choices and where you could do and how you could spend your time today, but I'm going to really enjoy sharing with you. And I thought this morning it'd be good to have you be able to take away one or two things that you can do in your personal life to become your new tricks. So I'm going to move pretty quick. Guarantee you're going to come up with something there. The other one is, what can you add to your personal life to help your own health and wellness? I'm not a registered dietitian, but I am a chef who really cares, and I really love working with the food, and I'm glad to work with you today. If you could see this, smell this kitchen, the aromas here are amazing. I'm in the Flavor Kitchen. We just cooked off 10 pounds of mushrooms. We cooked off 10 yesterday. Who cooks 10 pounds of mushrooms? We do. And what we're doing is making a whole section of immunity-focused bowls based with mushroom in it, because mushroom is the only produce item that has naturally occurring vitamin D. So some of those bowls we're making are, we thought of the Codfather, the Moroccan Sunset, the, I had a couple of Tuna Maui Crunch. There's some really cool concepts. And the one that we're going to share with you today is the Oh Say Can You See, B, and D. Not to be confused with CBD, but C, B, and D referring to the vitamins that are naturally occurring in this bowl. The cool thing is that in all the bowls that we're going to make, they're still in there. In this one, we're just letting you know about that. So we're going to take you through a couple of fun steps in what we call bowl anatomy. You've all gone out to eat and maybe tried a bowl of some kind where you either selected what goes in there or you took the bowl that was there and had it. That's number one. Maybe there's a theme bowl like I just mentioned a few, like Moroccan sunset. How cool. Draws a picture in your own brain. But now, step 3, how do I maximize nutrition in that bowl? And the key thing is, and you're going to hear me say this again, it's not what you take out. It's what you decide to put in. So if you're ready, we're going to move quick. You might need a pencil. And we're going to show you the blend in a minute. I know Steve wants to go right there. We're going to go over here and we're going to do a trick with kale that I really like. And I bet you didn't think you were going to be a massage therapist today, but we're going to do what we call massaging kale. So we put a little bit of olive oil on top. We're going to put some Himalayan salt. Now, the idea here is that in some cases, I like to do this with my hands. In some cases, kale is a little bit too fibrous for someone. This helps not only season it, but break it down. If you're going to use kale in a restaurant form, you can actually do this a day in advance and leave it in the fridge, and it becomes more bright green, a little more tender, shiny and nice to use. And you can let it sit for 5 minutes, and you can let it sit for 5 hours. And it's just really great to use. So that's step 1. Now we're going to move over here, and we're going to play with the mushrooms and show you how to make that blend Steve was talking about. So the first step is you're going to slice your mushrooms and put them on a tray. I like to use a little bit of paper underneath it. So there's one tip. That makes your cleanup a little easier because they can make a dark mess on your tray. And then you're going to just take a little bit of oil and a little bit of seasoning. I'm going to use a little Creole spice. You're going to roast these at 400 degrees until they start to dry out. Could be 20 minutes, might be 25 or 30, depending how many you put them on the tray. You're going to want to go single layer. So that's what they look like going in. And what's really amazing, and when I told you about how the aromas in this flavor lab are now, look at this right up close here with the reduction of the size of the mushroom. This is the step we call concentrating. All the flavor is concentrated in the mushroom. The aroma is amazing, but that natural caramelization right on there is what makes it really flavorful. Then the next step is we're going to put it into our food processor. I'm going to not turn it on for you because it's a little bit noisy, but I'll show you that it's ground up almost to the consistency of a burger meat. We call this the blend. So that blend is going to be used in a number of ways. We used it first at Seasons 52 to make our burger larger, but also is more nutritionally sound, and it actually dropped the calories at the same time back early in the 2000s. I know Sonic took it on and made a great burger out of that. But you can also use it as taco filling. You could use it in a sloppy joe. You could use it in a crust over a piece of salmon. Lots of different ways. Today I'm going to do it in a turkey meatball. Here's an interesting thing. If you want to roast a lot of mushrooms at once, you can also vacuum pack them, freeze them, and keep them for use anytime for all those different ways that I just mentioned to you. So we've got our meatballs already made, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the next step of this. We've got some meatballs and some little kebabs here. The next phase of this is getting ready for, in the bowl anatomy, we have the kale. That's our vitamin B. That's the B in C, B, and D. And so that's our dark green leafy vegetable. Now we want to create the body of this. So we have some farro, and really important, the next tip for you, always toast your nuts and seeds and grains till they get golden brown. It brings the natural oils to the surface of the item. And then they got this roasted flavor that carries through to the dish itself. We're going to go ahead and cook our farro till it looks like this in a broth. It started with as a mushroom broth or a vegetable broth. When it's hot and when it's ready, we're going to take that and we're going to pour it over raw corn. So corn taken off the cob. And we're not going to waste that because all the nutrient value of the farro is roasted and toasted. And in there, we've also simmered it. We want to keep that juice, and we strain that out. What this does, it goes over our corn, makes the corn a little bit sweeter, and it gives it a nice, slightly cooked flavor. And that's going to be part of our bowl. We're going to put that over here and save that for when we put the bowl together. We would take this juice at that point, and we would make what we call a mushroom stock. I've started to call it nectar. That's my new word for it. But basically, we're going to take onions and garlic and sweat that down a little bit with different mushroom parts, make it nice and aromatic with mushroom and simmer it. And that's going to become something a different part of our bowl. All bowls should have a little nectar, a little sauce that goes on just to finish. And then the next step is we're going to go ahead and mix our salad up. So we have our kale that we did here. And then we're going to put some of these corn and farro into that salad there, just to the amount we like. I'm going to make 2 salads, so we'll get a nice color distribution out. You've all seen this internet craze of feta with tomatoes roasting. I did that last night in an appetizer portion. How cool does that look? And then I decided I would make the same thing for today because I need both of these items for the salad. We're going to go ahead and put some tomatoes in there. And then we have a citrus dressing. So a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of honey, orange, lemon, and lime. We're going to go around the outside like that. And we're going to toss that up. Okay, and then I got this cool little trick I'm going to show you, where we're going to take a little can, any kind of can. You could use a glass cylinder. This is the least expensive option, but just so it's a really cool preparation. I told you I would give you a tip that you might use, and there's one of them. So go ahead and put that salad right into that can right there, and we're going to leave it in there once we get it in. Okay, so that's one. A little bit of corn on top. Then in our other bowl, I'm going to try another shape of a bowl, because you might have a broad bowl or you might have a deep bowl, and I'm going to show you how cool this can look. So put all our goodies in there, just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to put a couple of extra tomatoes right on top. We call that bling. That's how we make our food look popping and shiny and attractive. And then let's try a few little avocados on top. Okay. And then I found this this really interesting product. It's from Calera. It's a hydroponically grown green, and this one's called Crunch. This is still living. It's really cool. So Calera is the greens, and hydroponically grown. The root is not still alive. It doesn't get more healthy than that. So we're going to go ahead and put a couple of leaves around our salad. This is going to give us a nice visual look for it. And the same thing in our bowl. There we go. And then we have a little salsa we made this morning. I happen to have kumquats growing in the yard. So we picked some kumquats here in Orlando, and I put a little bit of this relish over here. It's kumquats that have been roasted and grilled. So there again is your citrus. You have a citrus vinaigrette and a citrus in the kumquat. Those are your C in the CBD bowl. Oh, say can you see? And then we're going to go ahead and put our turkey on there. This is a turkey blended kebab. 30% of the turkey meat is the blend. So we took a regular turkey meatball recipe, and then we added blend to that. Then we're going to go ahead, and this one is going to have regular size shaped meatballs. So again, on the meatball, 30% is the blend. And then on the top for the garnish, we add these nice little almonds. Okay, good source of omega for plant-based eaters. Put those around. And then here's what's really cool on my cylinder. Just going to push it down a little bit. And this one, you get a little presentation power with this one. There you go. And there's our bowls for today. Oh, say, can you see BD? And my only really request of you is that you work something new. Try something new that you might have seen today. Do it with mushrooms. But remember, it's not what you take out. It's what you put in, including your own passion. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Cliff. And thank you to Steve so much for a very informative session about mushrooms, for Cliff putting it all together. We're heading back to the main stage right now to go to Tokyo and LA, where we can learn more about creating a plant-forward ethos. So please join us there, and I hope you'll visit the Mushroom Council in their Innovation Hub a bit later today. Thank you again to the Mushroom Council for making this session possible. Thanks again.